I taught English downtown Da Nang.
Welcome to Free Colorado News. I'm Linn Armstrong. Recently I interviewed my father, Linn Armstrong, about his experiences serving in Vietnam in the Air Force. Here he discusses his experiences teaching English in that nation.
Well, I was in security. Teaching the natives basically was I was working with the Civic Action Program, and you never hear about that in the news medium. But thousands of GIs, Marines, Air Force, Navy, Army, volunteered time to.
So none of that was part of your official duties?
No, none of it was. Volunteered thousands of hours to build churches and schools, to teach English, to help build roads, all kinds of things. I don't even know what it was. And nobody ever mentions this role that American servicemen played. So when I had free time, I taught English downtown Da Nang at the Baptist church here. I think it's still there. I was talking to some Vietnamese last summer about it. And I had 10, 15 students. And the first day I walked into class, I had, of course, my combat fatigues on, and I had Air Force on one lapel and over the pocket, and Armstrong on the other. And I remember in 1969, in what was it, June or July, Neil Armstrong had walked on the moon. So I walked into this classroom, and these kids are all really kind of walking backwards and pointing and getting together. And finally, one of them comes up in broken English and says, "Oh, man who walked on the moon." So that struck me two ways, is that everybody in the world knew about Neil Armstrong walking on the moon at that time, and that these kids were that in tune with it. But I had three kids that I still wonder about. One was Nguyen Ton. She was a young girl, 13 or 14. One of the greatest personalities you ever met. Extremely nice, Claire, thoughtful. Then her brother, and then he had a friend. And I was the only one normally that went downtown. I was one of the few Air Force personnel that you ever saw down there. And so here's one GI in a downtown Da Nang street with hundreds of Vietnamese around, and I had normally my .38 and a knife, and if I thought it was going to be a dangerous situation, my M16, you know. And there was times when what we called the white mice, which was kind of the Vietnamese police, pulled up and the military pulled up, and the building right next to us was a feed and grain, and this board breaks out, and the kids are all in the tunnel, or all on the floor against the wall, and I just didn't want anybody coming into my classroom, and the little battle quit, and everybody went their way, and we continued class. But and I went every time that I had an opportunity. But one time, Nguyen said, "You don't come downtown next week." I said, "No, I'll come down." She said, "No, you don't come downtown." I said, "I'm not concerned about it." She said, "No, you won't go home if you come down." And so that's one time I didn't. I trust her. And I always wondered, because, you know, we see pictures of people leaving Saigon with the fall of Saigon, getting on an airplane. But we had a similar situation. We knew what was going to happen because we'd seen it already. I was already back in the States when Da Nang had fallen. But I can remember, must have been 74, 73 in there. It was a little while before Saigon, not too much, a couple of months, fell. The people clamoring for the helicopters and stuff at Da Nang to escape the advance of the North. And I always wondered what happened to these three people, and never did hear anything from them since.
Check out my book about Harry Potter's heroic fight for values at valuesofharrypotter.com.